Welcome to Buckeyes Tomorrow Morning for Tuesday, September 19th. I'm your host, Tom Orr. The Notre Dame game is in 4 days. The game against Michigan in 67 days. I'm guessing you guys maybe have started to pick up on this, but we have a typical pattern for these shows during the week. The Sunday show, we're typically talking about a recap of the previous day's game. Monday, let you hear directly from Ryan Day, maybe some of the Buckeyes about that previous game. Tuesday, a lot of times we're talking recruiting, maybe something like that. Today is not a normal Tuesday show because this is not a normal Ohio State game week. This is Ohio State and Notre Dame, Buckeyes and Fighting Irish, two of the most storied programs in history, two top 10 teams playing in South Bend for just the second time in close to 90 years. Yeah, it's kind of a big deal. So we're going to be doing something a little different today. We're going to be letting you hear from the opposing coach, Marcus Freeman, the opposing starting quarterback, Sam Hartman. Again, this is not something we typically do, but Marcus Freeman does his press conference, or did his press conference on Monday this week anyway. Duck to Sam Hartman, the Notre Dame quarterback as well. So we're going to be letting you hear directly from those guys on the Notre Dame perspective on this week's game. We'll be back on our normal schedule tomorrow, don't you worry. But let's start with this for Marcus Freeman. He was just some general thoughts on the game. What are just some general thoughts on getting to face his alma mater in this kind of a massive matchup?
Obviously, we have a great opponent coming in. We're excited about, the chance to go against a top tier opponent for sure. And we're excited about just the atmosphere, the experience that's going to be here with College Game Day and the Pat McAfee show and NBC. And, we get to finally wear the green uniforms. So they talked me into wearing a green jacket today. And so I said I'll wear it. And so we expect to see a lot of green in that stadium. And I think it's going to be a really cool opportunity, a great opportunity on Saturday night to, play a great opponent in Notre Dame Stadium. So, we got to continue to focus on what it will take to have success on Saturday, and that's having a great Monday and making sure that we really focus on improving today and really staying focused on the present. And so, I'm looking forward to seeing, Ryan Day again. He's done an unbelievable job leading that program. I've told him every time I talk to him that, he has just done a tremendous job of really leading that program. So we know it's going to be a really good opponent with a great coaching staff, and we're looking forward to that.
If you've been hanging out on the Ohio State section of the internet, you might be under the impression that the Buckeyes are the only team with any questions lingering already this season. But don't worry, there are some questions for Notre Dame as well. Not everything is perfect on the Irish sideline. So let's talk about some of the things that maybe been a little bit concerns for Notre Dame so far through their first few games of the season, namely tackling and penalties. What is Notre Dame doing this week in practice to try and address those issues?
I think we've worked tremendous on tackling, and there's an element of safety that you can't tackle live in practice. You can do drills, and we'll do drills. The reality is we missed, I think, 3 tackles on the one drive that they scored a touchdown. Really, for the rest of the game, they did a good job. I think we had 1 or 2 missed tackles after that, but the 3 missed tackles on the one drive that leads to a touchdown is what you can't have, and they're good too, right? You're going to miss tackles. That's part of the game of football, but you have to continue to show them how to improve at that and really work on it in practice, right? Without going live. And then as far as the penalties, right, again, as I said after the game, is it a selfish penalty or is it a fundamental penalty, right? And Riley's penalty can't happen. He's got to be smart. And he is. He knew right after he did it he was smart enough. But, Josh Burnham, he's turning and running to the ball. He was like, Coach, I was just turning and running the ball, and I didn't know that was the quarterback. I just hit whoever I saw, and I'm running to the ball. The holdings on offense those are fundamentals that we got to keep working. We have bad technique that can lead to a penalty, and so we just have to continue to keep working on the fundamentals and playing with good technique, and that should eliminate some of those penalties.
Marcus Freeman was, of course, a former Ohio State linebacker. He was a defensive coordinator at Cincinnati and Notre Dame, and now, of course, the head coach there, but a defensive guy by trade. Ryan Day, of course, worked his way on the offensive side of the ball from quarterback to quarterback coach to now Ohio State's head coach. So what is Marcus Freeman expecting from the Ohio State offense this week? And how much does that change if Ohio State ends up shuffling their quarterback for some reason?
You've seen their offense kind of evolved over the first 3 games, and it's explosive. You see a lot of tempo. I think I've seen more tempo recently, but listen, they have playmakers. They can run the ball. They got a stable of running backs that truly can do some things in the run game. As far as the quarterback, we plan on seeing McCord, right? We think he's named the starter, and that's who we plan on seeing. But you have to have a plan. You have to have a plan for anybody you might see. Same thing that happened last Saturday. So, I still think their offense is very similar no matter who's at quarterback. And so we'll have a plan for both guys, but it's really not going to change based off who's in the game.
Now, I'm guessing most Ohio State fans are not expecting a change at quarterback this weekend, but sometimes opposing teams' reporters will have sort of different view on things than you might have following the Ohio State team a little more closely. And this might be another example of that. Freeman was asked if there was any change in his mind this year with Brian Hartline now officially named offensive coordinator in terms of what that might mean for the Ohio State offense this weekend. I'm
sure Coach Day is extremely involved with their offense, and Hartline's done a great job. And so, again, they find ways to be innovative, right? You can look at as far back as since Ryan Day's been at Ohio State till now, it's a very innovative offense that will find different ways to get their playmakers the ball. And to me, it all starts with the run game, right? They want to run the ball. And very similar mindset that I have, right, is the ability to run the ball will create openings in the pass game, and that's what I've seen on film.
On the other side of the ball, the Buckeyes have had a pretty okay, but not necessarily statistically overwhelming year so far out of the defensive line. But Freeman was asked about his impressions of JT Tuimoloau in specific. You'll hear him refer to number 44 here in his response. And then also just the Ohio State defensive line on the whole.
It's impressive. They got guys, and it's deep, and they rotate a lot of guys in there. And so 44 is an impressive football player. He's big, he's powerful, explosive, all those big words that you like to say about your D lineman. He's got a lot of those traits, but they got a bunch of guys that are really disruptive. So we have to be good up front. We got to make sure we're good at the line of scrimmage.
Anytime you're facing Ohio State, one of the big concerns is how on earth do you control those wide receivers? So last year, Marcus Freeman had some young cornerbacks who were tasked with trying to do that on the road in Columbus in the season opener. So how have those corners grown and improved since the last time they faced Ohio State at the beginning of last year?
You look back to that game and the playmakers Ohio State has at wideout, a lot of them are back, and so that was a way for our guys in the first game of the year to measure themselves versus some of the best in the country. And so to where they are now, they've continued to grow and get better and better because of experience, because of the opportunity to continue to practice, and to continue to build skill. And that's something that we have to continue to do, and it will never stop.
Now, whether those corners are that much better or not, it is still not going to be easy when you're facing a pair of wide receivers like Marvin Harrison and Emeka Egbuka. Oh, yeah, there's Julian Fleming, there's Carnell Tate, there's Xavier Johnson. They've got some running backs, too. They've got some tight ends. But what is the challenge of defending an offense, especially with a pair of wide receivers as talented as Marvin Harrison Jr. and Emeka Egbuka?
They're good players, man. You just got to turn on the film. Harrison's body type, skill set, he's fast. He can go up and get the ball. He's a great route runner, great hands. Well coached. Hartline's done a great job of developing that wideout room. Year after year they got first rounders, and Buke's the same way. He's again a playmaker, more utilizing the slot, dangerous returner. So I go on and on, man. Those guys are good football players.
Mentioned the defensive line a little bit earlier, and the fact that they haven't necessarily been statistically overwhelming so far this season. You have, if you have been on the internet, noticed Ohio State fans being concerned about the lack of sacks. Well, guess what? Ohio State fans are not the only ones with that particular concern. Notre Dame fans are a little concerned about their lack of productivity in the sack department from the defense as well. Here was Marcus Freeman's response to that.
Listen, I knew somebody was going to ask me about it, sacks. Everybody keeps talking about sacks. I told Coach Golden, man, we're number one in the country in pass efficiency defense. And so that's the stat I'm worried about. I'm not worried about sacks. The pressure that we're getting is great. Sacks will come, and I don't want our players overly concerned about sacks, because that's an truly individual stat. that really doesn't matter. Like, I want to be number one in pass efficiency defense. I don't know who's number one in sacks, but I want to be number one in pass efficiency defense. That's a great stat. And so they've been working, they've been doing really well. And, you know, sacks are a result of a lot of different things, you know, but I was really happy with the way our defense performed in the pass game. You know, to limit that offense to what we did, it was really, really good. Pleased to see.
Last year in that season opener, Notre Dame held the Buckeyes to just 21 points, partly through good defense and partly by being very deliberate on offense, really trying to hang on to that football, keep it away from the Ohio State offense. So with Sam Hartman now playing quarterback instead of Tyler Buchner, does that stay the plan this weekend?
Yeah, you know, I thought Coach Golden and the defensive staff had a great game plan last year and really did a good job of executing it, you know, for the first game of the year, trying to figure out who we were defensively. Yeah, and part of that, the mindset going in that game was try to control the ball as long as we could, right? Limit their offensive possessions. You know, and again, it's still got to be complementary football as we go into this Saturday, but I don't want to play not to lose. Right? I don't want to play that way. I want our guys to be aggressive and our guys to be attacking. And so we will play complementary football, but our objective isn't just to hold the ball and huddle every single play, kind of what my mindset probably was last year.
Ohio State fans have a history of traveling pretty darn well. You have heard more than one OHIO chant going around the four corners of an opposing stadium on a road game. But that doesn't happen very often at Notre Dame. But when it does, it is very noticeable. For example, Georgia did it a few years ago. Nebraska back in 2000 really took over Notre Dame Stadium. So how important is it for Marcus Freeman to have this be a very pro-Notre Dame crowd?
Yeah, we want to see a lot of green in here. That's the cool thing about Saturday is we got green jerseys, and I don't know if they're calling it a green out, but we want to see a lot of green, and I think our players notice it and appreciate that, especially pregame, as you just said. We want to make sure there's as many Notre Dame fans as we can, and I think they're doing some cool things for the fan experience. And so I encourage our fans, man, make sure that you guys are here and let's get as much green in this stadium as we can.
All right, now we're going to let you hear just a couple things from Sam Hartman. And warn you in advance, the audio is not quite as crisp as it was for Marcus Freeman. There's a whole technical reason behind that. We're not going to get into it. Just know we recognize, sorry. We're only giving you a couple things here from Sam, just because we want to let you hear a little bit from him. So he's someone who threw for nearly 2,000 yards and 16 touchdown passes back in 2018. Remember when Urban Meyer was still the head coach at Ohio State? Yeah, Sam Hartman threw 16 touchdown passes that season. He has now played in 52 games already in his college career, 6th year. But after all that time and all those games, has he ever played in a game quite like this?
I mean, yeah, it's a big game. Obviously, you know, any game, college game day, whatever you want to call it. I mean, I think it's a huge opportunity for us as a program and as a team, you know, to go out there and show what we got. And obviously a really challenging opponent, a historically great opponent, great football program, and another, and like ourselves, as a great football university. So I think it's just a clash of two football greats that growing up, you know, you kind of think about and look at those games of, you know, Ohio State and all the other big ones. That you're like, you know, that'd be a cool game to play in. And so it's exciting. It is a big game. I think to shy away from that is foolish, but I think it's going to be, like every week, is it going to be about us executing at the highest level and like Coach Freeman probably already said, reaching our full potential.
Whenever you're on a big stage facing a really highly ranked opponent, the temptation can be to try and do just that little bit extra. Just push yourself, make a play you might not normally try to make in a lesser game. How do you try, if you're Sam Hartman and the Notre Dame offense, to just not to do too much? Sort of stay with the game plan, stay calm when it could be a very, very big moment.
I mean, I think it starts, you know, with the confidence in our coaches, our confidence in the schemes that we're going to get into, and the players around me. I think, you know, we have an unbelievable O-line that I have a lot of confidence in. Our running backs have all been playing incredibly well. Tight ends have been doing great, and outside, I mean, we showed we have some explosive capabilities and the ability to, spread the ball around when you need to and be able to run the ball when we can. So that's really where it is. And our defense, we've been playing a lot of complementary football. You look at the NC State game, there's times where we get shut out or they let up a score and we kind of bounce back off each other. So, it's always going to be about doing my job as the best I can do, and the plays are going to come when they need to be. But it's a lot of just the trust and belief that, everybody around me is doing their job, which they've been doing all year and we've been doing since the spring. So it's just exciting. It's an exciting opportunity to go out as a team and play a complete game.
That will do it from the Notre Dame side of things. You'll be hearing from the Buckeyes a little bit later on today. Ohio State head coach Ryan Day will be meeting with the media starting at noon. Then we'll be hearing from Ohio State defensive coordinator Jim Knowles just after that. And then tomorrow we'll be talking to some of the players as the Buckeyes shift their focus ahead to this Notre Dame game. I'm going to guess the focus has maybe been on Notre Dame a little longer than they might have been willing to admit publicly. Very big game coming up this Saturday, and a very good place to watch all of the excitement this week. Follow along with all the news, see all the interviews, hear all the analysis is at BuckeyeHuddle.com. Our team of insiders covering all the news this week, and there is a lot of it. As we count down the days to that Notre Dame game, it is going to be a big one in South Bend this weekend. We will be there. We're starting having content from South Bend. The plan is on Friday for you. So make sure you are subscribed to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/BuckeyeHuddle. Just make sure you're on our Facebook page, facebook.com/BuckeyeHuddle. And of course at BuckeyeHuddle.com, where we bring you all sorts of content about the team and recruiting and X's and O's and all that good stuff, all coming to you all week long, all at BuckeyeHuddle.com. So thank you guys all for joining us. Have a great day. We'll talk to you tomorrow.